A while ago, I made a video on 50 classic cocktails everyone should know how to make, and naturally, I had the same inclination to do that for modern classics. But in reality, that video was a monster to complete. It took months and months and months, and after getting lost in the recipes over almost half a year, we found a bunch of mistakes that we made that we wish weren't there. So in order to break this monumental task down into smaller, easier to chew bites, we'll be releasing all 50 modern classic cocktails I feel everyone should know, but we're gonna be doing them in smaller videos. I hope you enjoy this collection of drinks, and if you have any suggestions for which modern classics should go in future episodes, hit me up in the comments. So before we get into the cocktails, let's talk about today's sponsor, which is Staggerly Goods. Staggerly Goods is a craft leather goods company from San Francisco, California, run by Alfred Ramos. Everything is handmade and of the highest quality. We've been using these aprons for almost the entire life of the show, and I still have aprons that I was using 4 years ago. They last forever. I'm really happy to announce that I worked on a specific Barfly apron with Alfred himself. This is an apron made out of dead stock cone denim, which is of the highest quality. The burgundy straps are a brand new offering, and it also uses bonded nylon thread to ensure longevity. Every apron is handmade by Alfred in his shop. So he doesn't just do one color aprons, he also does some really nice printed aprons for different seasons and different holidays. There's a really nice tiki one that he's got on the site right now. He does beautiful handmade wallets, flasks, and also dog collars. So go check him out at staggerlygoods.com, and if you type in my code BARFLYSLG20, you get 20% off at checkout, and that is site-wide. So go check them out at staggerlygoods.com, and if you type in code BARFLYSLG20, you get 20% off, and that is site-wide. All right, the Little Italy was created by Audrey Saunders around 2003, and it was created for the opening menu of the Pegu Club in New York City. It is one of many Manhattan variations born in that city. Sadly, the Pegu Club shut its doors during the pandemic after 15 years in business, so when you're mixing this one, make sure to pour one out for the homies. And just like one little note before we get started on this recipe. Rittenhouse is a high corn rye, a bourbon drinker's rye, if you will, so keep that in mind when subbing it for something else. If, for instance, you use Old Forester, which has a higher rye content in its mash bill, you're gonna change the way the drink tastes. Maybe for the better, maybe not. I'll leave that for you to decide. In a mixing glass, we are going to take half an ounce of Cynar, 3/4 of an ounce of sweet vermouth, and 2 ounces of Rittenhouse rye. We're gonna grab a larger rock and give it a nice crack. And then add in some smaller cubes. Give it a stir. Really, it's very hard to over-stir with ice that's just come out of the freezer. We're gonna strain it. And we're gonna garnish with an Amarena cherry here. We got these nice, the Fabry ones. All right, let's taste this guy. So wonderfully balanced. I gotta say, if you can swing it, get Rittenhouse rye for this drink. The higher corn content in the rye really does this drink a solid. It's a little bit softer on the palate. You still get that kind of malty dryness and a little bit of spice from the rye. You get the nice botanicals from the sweet vermouth, and then a nice bitter finish from the Cynar. And the Cynar is actually doing a little bit more than Angostura bitters would be doing in a Manhattan. And so what you do is you get a very balanced, very full flavored cocktail, and then that bitter finish it's such a long finish, it just keeps going and going. It's really nice. So there it is, guys, the Little Italy. The Añejo Highball was created by Dale DeGroff in 1997 at the Rainbow Room in Rockefeller Center in New York City. It's basically a gussied up mule with a rum base. The template is very malleable. Although originally it was done with Bacardi 8, you can sub it out for Cruzan Añejo as well. And really any number of rums is gonna go well in this drink. Just remember that when you sub out specific flavored rums, you're gonna be changing the drink's flavor profile. So first things first, we're gonna do 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 1/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 1/2 ounce of dry curacao, and 1.5 ounces of Bacardi 8. Add some ice to a tin. Give it a good shake. And then what we're gonna do is take a little ginger beer here. We're just gonna put it to the bottom of the glass so that it doesn't layer on the ice. Get that effervescence going, and then strain our cocktail like so. Add some ice. You want to make sure to add enough ice that it goes to the bottom of the glass here. You don't want to have it floating around. And then we're going to top it up with ginger beer. And to garnish with a lime twist. And now for the best part. So the flavor of the rum really rounds out the flavor of this cocktail. You do get the ginger beer, you do get that citrus note, you know, with the 1/4 ounce of lime juice that's really kind of balancing the sweetness out. But the body of the cocktail, you get a lot of the oak notes from the rum, and you also get a lot of the fennel. There's like a fennel taste to it and almost like a syrupy vibe to it. But the main body of this drink, what you mainly get as you swallow is the flavor of the rum. So it's got this nice oak note. It has a little bit of fennel. It's got a citrus vibe. It's a little syrupy, and then round that out with the spiciness of the Angostura bitters, the tartness of the lime, kind of bringing it all together, and then obviously the ginger beer. So what really informs the flavor of this cocktail is the rum. You do taste the ginger beer, but it's really the oak note in the rum. There's a little bit of fennel. It's a little syrupy. It has some nice citrus with the lime in this cocktail is really helping to bring out. Then you get those spice notes from the Angostura bitters. And of course, the ginger beer, you do taste it, but it's just this really nice, well done drink. So there it is, guys, the Añejo Highball. The Kingston Negroni was created by New York City bartender Joaquin Simo at Death & Company for their spring menu in 2010. This really simple riff was an immediate hit. And originally it was created with Smith & Cross rum, which was just hitting cocktail bars at the time. The best thing about Negronis and their variations is how customizable they are. And it's been a lot of fun to switch out the components to make different expressions over the years. Like gin, Jamaican rums are also proprietary in flavor, and although they share similarities, no two are exactly alike. The same goes for red aperitivo bitter and also vermouth. So have a lot of fun. Switch out the spirit, switch out the vermouth, switch out the aperitivo, and see what happens. All right, let's make the cocktail. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our glass because we're gonna be building this right into the glass. 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, 1 ounce Campari, and last but certainly not least, 1 ounce of Smith & Cross. Big old glass needs a big old ice cube. I should have had this set out to temper. All right, let's just get this guy in here. Give it a nice stirry poo. And really you can stir this kind of as much as you want. You really need about 1 ounce of dilution in here, but since it's sitting on a rock, it is going to dilute over time. So dilute to your preference. Just gonna finish this cocktail off with a nice orange twist. Let's make it fancy, shall we, Marius? Voila. All of the full flavors of the Smith & Cross. Balanced out nicely by the botanicals of the sweet vermouth, and then you have that bitter, just kind of bringing up the back end, making that nice long finish. I could drink several of these. I won't, because it's a bad idea, but I could. There it is, the Kingston Negroni. The Gin Basil Smash was created by Jörg Mayer at El Leon in Hamburg, Germany, and it was on a trip to New York City when Mr. Mayer experienced Dale DeGroff's Whiskey Smash that he came up with this satisfying little riff, playing the basil off the botanicals in the gin. This drink pairs great with any number of gins, and I have yet to find one that doesn't work. More botanical gins play up the basil, and more citrus-forward gins play up the citrus. If you want an earthy undertone, you can use Plymouth. Really, the template is wide open for interpretation and experimentation, so you know what? You do you, and go crazy. On to the drink! All right, first thing we're gonna do, grab our tin, put a bunch of basil leaves in here, 6 to 8. So we're gonna do 1 ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, and we're using a 1-to-1 simple, and 2 ounces of gin. We're gonna give this a nice pressy muddle. We're gonna add some ice to our glass. Add some ice to our tin. Give it a nice shake. And strain it over our ice, like so. And garnish with a healthy basil bouquet. And this one's actually already a bouquet. You just stick it in there like so. There it is, the Gin Basil Smash. I love it. It's like a lemon candy with the basil undertone. It's really nice. A little bit more on the tart side. You get that 1 ounce of lemon juice, and then the simple syrup is balancing out, but it's a little more more tart than you would do if you did like a 3/4 split. The gin obviously has all those botanicals, and then the basil is really pairing well with those botanicals. It's a very nice, light, bright drink. So there it is, the Gin Basil Smash. The Chartreuse Swizzle was created by Marco Dionysos in 2003 after entering a chartreuse cocktail competition, which he was originally going to sit out, but he then reconsidered after the organizer asked him to enter. And so he didn't have like any big ideas for a drink, but ended up coming up with the Chartreuse Swizzle, which won the competition. From there, little by little, over the years, the drink began to become a little bit more well-known until it became a bona fide modern classic. And that is the drink that we know today. The catch to this drink is that it hinges on green chartreuse, which is a very, very hard to replace product and an allocated product at the moment. Although there are no exact substitutes for chartreuse, as the recipe is a proprietary blend of alpine herbs, but there are a couple other products out there which scratch the same itch, and some people would say they do it badly, but desperate times call for desperate measures, so do with that what you will. One of these products you can try is Genepi de Alps from Dolan, which is going to be a little bit more of a literal translation of chartreuse. It's really not the same thing. A lot of people say it's not the same, but it will go very well in this drink. You can also try Strega if you want, which is an Italian liqueur, or you can try Centum Herbis, which is another alpine liqueur. But that one kind of has a little bit of chocolate on the finish, and so you're really going to be changing the flavor profile of this drink. Either way, play around with those subs and let me see what you find. The good news about those subs is that they're all cheaper than chartreuse. All right, so in the tin, we are going to do 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. And then we're going to be doing 1 ounce of pineapple juice, 1/2 ounce of velvet falernum, and 1 1/4 ounces of green chartreuse. Just going to add maybe 1 ounce of pebble into our tin and give it a whip shake. I'm just going to pour it in like so. I'm just going to top this up with pebble ice. Take a little pineapple, like so, and maybe a little lime wheel too. All right, and last but not least, we're just going to put some of these guys in here to finish it off. I don't think that I can really overstate how amazing green chartreuse and pineapple is. I mean, this is just such a well-balanced cocktail, and for someone to just like pull this out of the air, like just pull this out of inspiration from their brain is pretty incredible. The green chartreuse and the pineapple combination is sweet enough to carry the drink without any simple syrup. It's awesome. So there it is, the Chartreuse Swizzle. All right, guys, there you have it. 5 modern classic cocktails that I think you should know. There are 50 classic cocktails that you should know. There are 50 modern classics that you should know. We are slowly getting through them. Here's 5 more. Go, drink them, have fun, be responsible, and I will see you on another time. We're gonna end this video with a little Barfly tip. I have been having a hard time finding cocktail fronds for garnishing that are not completely wrecked and really gross looking. And sometimes in certain parts of the year, it's easy to find. Other times they're really gross. So what I'd like to do is every time I juice a pineapple, I take the fronds off. I just like rip the whole head of fronds off. And then I pick out all the really good ones, put them in a bag and put them in the freezer and preserve them for later. And then I have them for garnishing. And I always have these nice, beautiful fronds. So here's my little baggie of preserved fronds. And as you can see, they are nice and preserved. They come out a little bit frosted, so if you want to photograph them really quickly, you can get this nice little frost on them. So there you have it. Tip number 1. So our second tip for this video, which is something that Marius really wanted me to put in here, was talking about cherries. On this channel, you see me use Luxardo maraschino cherries a lot, but those are not the only cherries to use, and they can be a little bit expensive. So a good alternative to that are